What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Happy Skews Day to you. We're coming to you from a little earlier today. It's Skews Day, March 25th, 2025. We're sitting down to record this at 11:02 a.m. on the left coast. I'm Trey, and that's Mark. How you doing there, Mark?
Good, buddy. Are you following the emoji treason group chat story that's currently overtaken DC?
Indeed, I am. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. I'm looking forward to talking this. I don't know how much you realize that this happens. I'm sure you realize it, but like very often, this is how I go about coming up with what I'm gonna say in those silly videos I make. There's a big thing happening. I hear you say stuff about it, and then I repurpose that into like my own version of saying it. So or at least I double check. Okay, if Mark thinks that, then I know it isn't completely stupid. So I feel safe saying it. So
well, be careful with that. How far you go with that, because I'm gonna get you in some real trouble. I mean it's a fucking lot. I think we'll probably do the whole episode about it later this week. But like it's a fucking lot going on there, man. And I think like. Matt and I were talking about before going on, the Democrats are focusing on the rule-breaking aspect of it without talking about why the rule exists and why it's dangerous what they did, because they're talking about like, the dangers that Yemen, if they'd known in advance, could have shot down our Air Force. I don't think that's the real concern here, but anyway, we'll talk about it on Friday or Thursday whenever we do the bonus episode. Today we're talking about the Tesla protests, and because they're growing, and so is the administration's reaction to them, and it's getting pretty crazy, and I'm not sure where this is all going to end up. But it is fun to talk about at the moment, and the real overarching question is, can Elon go broke? Because the Trump administration is fucking acting like it, and that's really weird to me.
Okay.
So, before we get to the show, B. Arthur was in the Marines. Did you know that, Trey?
I think that I knew that I feel like I've seen a picture of her in some kind of, I knew that like in World War II, women had certain positions and stuff. I didn't know the extent of it.
So she joined up in 43, and she was originally a typist, and she transferred to being a truck driver. And when she was asked about this later in life, she denied it. She's the opposite of stealing valor. She's like, didn't want anybody to know she was in the Marines. And not that she was ashamed of it, just that like she didn't want credit she drove a truck,
Right.
So there's a webpage DOD had in their history website or whatever dedicated to like American heroes who served, and B. Arthur had a page on there, right, under her birth name, which is Bernice Frankel. The Trump administration took it down. They disappeared. Leon Trotsky, Dorothy Spornak, and because they're DEI stuff.
So again, I know I've asked this every time this like comes up when it's like for example when they erased every mention of the Enola Gay and that type of thing. Is this like an unintended consequence of using some sort of computer program to get rid of anything that's DEI related, which means in this case a woman doing stuff is DEI related, so it gets deleted, or someone going like, fuck B. Arthur. we're erasing her from history.
The question here. We'll get to that in a second, because I was trying to figure out the root cause of this, but like the main thing to know as far as whether or not she's a woman is like, if you know anything about World War II American propaganda, the these women were held up as heroes back then. Rosie the Riveter.
Yeah, Rosie the Riveter. Yeah, of course.
So like these guys are more troglodyte than their fucking grandfathers were.
It's so true. I mean, it's like, that was back then when it was like I don't know. There was still the whole like, all those papaws were like, well, I mean, of course, a woman is not. I still want to slap her ass whenever I want to, and I'm not going to let her be my boss or whatever. But I'm not going to be a dick about the contributions they're making. I'm still going to like give it up for them and let them know that we appreciate what they're doing and the war effort and everything. There was a huge amount of that where it's like they're getting it done at home while the boys are fighting abroad, and we wouldn't be able to do this without them and all that. And it's like now it's just they're just not even allowed to. Heading towards that fucking y'all Qaeda Saudi Arabia version. We're gonna have them all covered up and not allowed to drive before long.
What's the name of that Hidden Figures, the movie about the black women who worked at NASA? So, like, yes, those white guys took credit for the math and the problem solving of black women. These guys wouldn't even let the black women do the math.
Right.
They would to take credit for it. It's fucking. This is so insane. But okay, so besides the fact that B. Arthur's a woman, what are the possible reasons her page got deleted? The page they had up, there's her enlistment photo. She's really tall, by the way, 5'11", almost 6 feet tall with her hair right there. So. Her page did mention her lifelong support for gay rights and women's suffrage, right? Her activism. So that's part of it. There's also the part of it where she was starred in Maude, where they did a bunch of like very woke episodes in the 70s. Like, can you imagine a sitcom doing an episode about abortion in 2025? I can't, but they did in the 70s. But here's the funniest possible answer. Golden Girls did an episode in 1992 in their final season where Dorothy had a dream sequence where she goes on Jeopardy, okay? And Dorothy says to Merv Griffin, who in her mind was the host of Jeopardy in 1992, but I think it was earlier than that, Mr. Griffin, please, you're the most beloved man in America. You are bright, you are charming, you are the anti-Trump. That's what she said on the episode. I would play...
I know, it's like I've said this. This is such a good example of like this revisionist history around Trump, because I've been screaming literally since the very beginning of Trump's rise in 2016 and stuff. I was talking about how wild I found it that it was even happening, because I know like rednecks and dudes and country people, red staters, however you want to put it, and I know that he's a douchebag to that, or he has been. You know, I know that he's exactly the archetype of a person that they cannot stand. And it's like now it's treated like, I don't know, like he's always been an icon, but it's like, no, he was famous for being a rich douchebag, like for decades.
That's how he kept himself famous, was calling up tabloids to talk about how big his dick was under secret second identity. Like he marketed himself as a scumbag. That's what's so weird about the yeah, you're right. So anyway, that's
all right. Well, let's get into it. Producer Matt's back here behind the scenes, pulling the strings, doing the things. This is Weekly Skews. Mark told you we're talking about the war on Elon, the poor downtrodden Victorian child that is Elon Musk. Fair target of all this animus. We'll get into that a little bit later. But first, a couple announcements for you. As always, if you want to see me do stand-up comedy live and in person, go to TreyCrowder.com and check out my upcoming tour dates. Thanks to everybody coming out to the Wilbur in Boston and also in Portsmouth and Binghamton, New York. I really appreciate it. Next up, Northwest Arkansas at the Grove, one of my favorite clubs. Then back home in Tennessee, Knoxville, where I started stand-up, on April 11th with Drew Morgan, longtime denizen, founding member of the Skewniverse. And then April 12th in Chattanooga with the show himself, Corey Ryan Forster. So those will be a lot of fun, too. And then a ton of other shows after that, all at TreyCrowder.com. Also at TreyCrowder.com, you can find a link to my new special called Trash Daddy, which is out on YouTube now. It's hitting for people. I had a good response to it, so I appreciate it. If you haven't watched it, what are you waiting on? Go ahead and do it. And lastly, if you enjoy this program and would like to show your support, you can do so by signing up on Patreon. You go to weeklyskews.com/more, or you can go to Patreon and search for my name. Either way works. Sign up $5 a month, get you access to 2 full-length bonus episodes. We either do just additional episodes of the show as you know it, or sometimes we do Q&A, Skew&As we call them. But if you like this show, it's just this show, but more of it, so get some more Skews in your life and support us in the process. We appreciate you. Now, before we get to all that Elon stuff, first we begin, as always, with the Daily Dumbass. Matt, graphic, please. Tonight's DD, people who don't think Popcorn Baron is a real feudal title.
I think it's crazy.
Seacliff residents reacting tonight after a wealthy businessman claims he's the village's new mayor. Robert Ehrlich, founder of the snack company Pirates Booty, apparently tried to stage a mutiny of his own. According to a Facebook post by village officials, quote, Ehrlich presented a statement falsely asserting his authority as mayor, demanding access to office space, and declaring that the entire village staff was fired, effective immediately, but could reapply for their job.
You got it.
So whatever they're saying about me is wrong.
Is that him right there?
Yeah, that's him. Yeah, you got it.
Does he think that he's like a pirate? Is that where the Pirates Booty think? You know, is he like trying to do some Pirate King, his own like Tortuga thing or something? Just like
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what this guy. Okay, I got a real guy for you here, Trey. Yeah. This is the real secret of the event. So yeah, this guy's mega wealthy. He got rich off. I'm not familiar with his snacks.
Oh, I'm a huge fan. I don't know how to feel about it. The shit is good, but you probably wouldn't like it. But I'm a fat kid and I think it's fire.
Well,
so anyway, go ahead.
He sold it off to get rich. So he's no longer. You're no longer contributing
so
to
I
him.
Can still eat it. Okay, that's good.
He also his particular crazy. The fact he's doing this, he's not even really MAGA. Like, so we'll get to that in a second. Okay, so the sequence of events is deeply hilarious here because there was a mayoral election last week. All right, the incumbent was running unopposed. Her name's Elena Villafane. Okay, Robert Ehrlich, that guy, announced he was running as a write-in candidate. Didn't bother filing his paperwork early enough, but he lost Let me get these numbers straight. This is a very small village about 25 miles north of Manhattan. He lost by Villafane got 1,064 votes, and he got 62 votes. All right, he lost almost 20 to 1.
That's about
right?
that much. Almost had him. There's one wrong move. Who knows? It could have gone his way. 10 to 1.
So, but he has had an envelope that's labeled "Vote for me for mayor," and people at a coffee shop he owns have been putting slips in the envelope for like 4 years. So he thinks that entitles him to be mayor to the degree that he walked into City Hall and declared himself the rightful mayor of this village. It's called Seacliff, before the election happened.
So he just been, in his mind, he'd been like holding his own ongoing election for mayor. Yeah. And once he had enough of his little envelopes from his coffee shop, he was like, I hereby declare myself mayor, as given as the authority granted to me by these people who get cappuccinos downtown. He
apparently had the envelope out since the last mayoral election 4 years ago. So he said he had 1,900 votes at his coffee shop over the past 4 years, and said such an unusual ballot has holy precedent. Quote, 1,900 votes since our election, he said. The longest election in history was from 1268 to 1271, when they couldn't find a pope. So actually, I have the longest election in history.
Okay.
He thinks he's the pope, too. So, so he walked into City Hall and just basically, remember the QAnon Queen of Canada?
Of course. How could I forget? Yeah. Right. What's she up to now, by the way? How's she doing? She's still doing her thing?
I haven't checked in on her recently. We should do an update.
Yeah, we should
soon,
do an update on that.
So, but he basically just walked in. He's like, "Yep, you're all fired. I'm the mayor." And they're like, "Who the fuck are you?"
Right.
All right. And he hasn't even been like he says that he knows the election was rigged because it was fraudulent because his buddies voted 4 times each for him. Remember, he only got 62 votes. So what he's saying there is like maybe 16 people voted for him. Mm-hmm. I'm doing the math correctly. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Wait, he's admitting that his friends voted multiple times for him, which proves that her number is also fraudulent because people are okay. Right. But it would still, okay. She would have more people who voted multiple times than you had people who voted multiple times. It's kind of like Lance Armstrong beat all the other guys that were on steroids, as Bill Burr pointed out. So it's like it still kind of counts,
Lance Armstrong only had 1 ball, too, so it's even more impressive he did it. So the crazy thing about Ehrlich, when I say he's not MAGA, like you expect one of these guys, okay, I'm fighting the system because the pedophile cabal is taking over the town, or the New World Order, or George Soros, or whatever, so he can turn all the kids trans or whatever. He's none of that. He's professed none of that. His main issue is that the mayor isn't doing enough to increase business activity on Main Street.
Right. What's the mayor supposed to do there in Seacliff, you think?
A town of 5,000 people? I don't know. But it's like, again, he's worth $400 million. He wants more foot traffic to his coffee shop. So he wants to overthrow the mayor. This whole thing. How do we keep finding these guys? Why are we making so many of these guys?
Yeah. It's wild to me that so many of these guys can be like as successful as so many of them are. It's like, I don't know, you're taught or given the impression, at least, I feel like growing up in this country, especially if you go to college and stuff like that you got to be highly, like competent and rational and professional and all that, and work with a large work ethic and all this stuff to be successful. But some of the most successful people in this country are just like full-blown lunatics, it's like, it seems like that almost selects more for success than just
there's also
just working. We all know that sociopathy is correlated with it or whatever, but it goes beyond. They're weird too. It's not just that they're like sociopathic or whatever. They're fucking like strange and like losers. They're lame and stuff. It's odd.
There's been tons of studies on this. People with psychopathic personality traits can be very successful in business, right? That's part of it.
Right.
But part of it's, I think, that the extreme level of wealth makes you fucking insane.
Right.
You never hear the word no. There's nothing you can't have. So you find something you can't have, like the job as mayor of Seacliff, New York.
Right. Yeah.
It drives you insane. But the craziest part here. Let me quote here from a person who worked a village administrator named Bruce Kennedy. Okay. To the best of my knowledge, he has never participated in any government entity, in any volunteer agency, or any board or commission. The guy got interested in politics 15 minutes ago and decided he should declare himself. Like, the first thing he decided to do was declare a coup on the mayor of Seacliff Village. Mm-hmm. We just keep doing this, but like America, the only thing America makes anymore is this type of guy.
Right.
So asked whether he might take another shot at running for mayor in 2 years using more conventional methods that can land him on the ballot. He said, "No, I'm mayor now. Why do I have to wait 2 years? I am mayor at this moment.
Yeah.
I can write an executive order."
Have you not been paying attention? You
Yeah.
Everything I just did, I just explained to you. I'm the mayor. Why do I need to be elected mayor? I'm already the mayor.
Yeah, the mayor. Plus, again, he's so rich. He could like if he ran a conventional campaign, he could definitely win the mayor.
Of course, right? Of
So-
course he could. You just outspend the other person in a village like that. Like it wouldn't be hard. Like
No, it's a town of 5,000 people. You pay everybody $5,000 each for what's that? 25. You can buy. You can pay everybody.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm doing the math in my head right now. I'll be wrong, but like, so we need to talk about like popcorn companies for a second. Like
I'd love to. Yeah.
Boutique brand flavored popcorn companies.
Uh-huh.
Because Pirates Booty isn't also a source of like political radicalism. So Lesser Evil Popcorn, their CEO is Charles Korstein, who's the father of Edward Korstein, aka Big Balls.
What?
So
Small world, ain't it?
the
I'm not
CIA
familiar with Lesser Evil Popcorn.
Me neither.
Pirates Booty, I fuck with heavily, but Lesser
Right.
Evil, I don't know.
The fact it's named Lesser Evil is deeply hilarious to me.
I thought.
Yeah,
I don't know. I like, did that guy come from tech or something? And it's like, is it? For some reason, I was like, is it like a Google spinoff or something? Like, and it's just the fact that it's a popcorn brand is, comical. It's like,
Yeah.
what is?
Who's the greater evil popcorn?
Right,
company?
exactly. Yeah, Orville Redenbacher, the dastardly son of a bitch. We all know.
The evil empire of Orville.
Evil Empire of Orville Redenbacher. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. Shit is so weird.
All right.
Speaking of weird, evil, rich people, how's that for a segue?
The Tesla protest. All right, to set the vibe here, I want to play this clip of Attorney General Pam Bondi on Fox News the other day.
We have people who are locking up on that. We have someone in jail right now from one of the dealerships. They threw a Molotov cocktail through a dealership. They're looking at up to 20 years in prison. So if you're going to touch a Tesla, go to a dealership, do anything, you better watch out because we're coming after you.
Wow.
And if you're doing this, we're
All right, so you touch a Tesla if you go to a dealership. All right, the Molotov cocktails, we all understand and know why that's illegal. Okay, the touching, but people are like drawing swastikas and dust on Teslas and stuff.
Saying
which
it,
I have friends who own Teslas. I don't know anybody with a Cybertruck. Yeah,
Right.
So like
that's kind of why I keep thinking too. It's like I get it. Like part of me wants to hold my fist up, but it's also like you said. I've known living in California. I've had so many friends, people that had Teslas and shit who are not down with any of the Elon stuff. And it's like, again, Cybertruck. I do feel like it's a different story because I don't know any non-douchebags that own a Cybertruck. But like just Teslas, though, I feel like I don't know. I kind of waffle on this a little bit. Like,
but part of like with everything. We circle around a lot here. We talk about protests. Protests are supposed to make people uncomfortable. Now, I wouldn't draw a swastika on somebody's, but sell your car in dust or whatever. It's like what you're trying to do is a social stigma campaign to drive down the value of a fucking fascist business empire.
Yeah.
Right? So yes, part of that means some of our friends being socially pressured to sell their cars at loss.
Yeah. Right.
All right. It's not great. It's not ideal, but none of this is fucking ideal. And like, if you don't want to sell your car, that's your choice. But people are going to write sell your car on it and give you a thumbs down in traffic or whatever. But like, and again, we all know that when the Model Y and Model 3, and yes, the Model S, Model 3, Model X, Model Y, Tesla's 4 brands with a Cybertruck were spelled sexy with a 3. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yep. Yeah, the leet speak, like hacker, version of sexy. Yeah.
If anything should have been a clue that Elon was a fucking dumb douchebag, that should have been a clue. But anyway, no one caught on until too late. But so Bondi also has been going on Fox News, and she called Molotov cocktails weapons of mass destruction. If you're wondering where this is headed, so fentanyl's weapon of mass destruction. A fucking glass wine bottle with some gasoline and a rag in it's a weapon of mass destruction now. And the context of all this. This Tesla takedown stuff has been amping up. It's really grown rapidly over the last few weeks. Right now they're organizing 500 demonstrations for this weekend. It's on Saturday at Tesla locations across the country. If any of you guys want to go be annoying, because that's pretty much, I keep saying it. Liberal superpower is being hella fucking annoying. So get out there and do your part, okay? But all these myths and fantasies we're hearing, and they're doing the paid protester shit too. They're going to start calling every kind of protester terrorists, even if it's like upper middle class white people holding a sign and chanting across the street from a Tesla showroom. You got to understand the context of a pending report from the Department of Defense and DHS. It's due April 20th about whether or not Trump should invoke the Insurrection Act. These people are thinking about declaring martial law and looking for justification to do so.
Yeah, hasn't that been like a narrative put forth since the very, very beginning of this administration? Meaning, like, he desperately wants to declare martial law, and they want a reason for it. So, there, like for a while, it was trying to get people in the streets with the, whatever, all the layoffs and tariffs or whatever, but just people saying that they want that to happen. And now they're going to use this Tesla thing as justification for it, because martial law would give him even more like unbridled authority, right?
Yes.
That's the idea. Yeah, I mean, but to me, it's like, well, he seems to be doing whatever the fuck he wants anyway, or at least trying to.
I would caution everybody that trying to strategize your way out of him not like well, we shouldn't protest because then he'll declare martial law. If you think that way, you're already under martial law. Yeah,
well, it's like, I mean, that's kind of that's like what Chuck Schumer was doing, sort of.
Right.
You know what I mean? With like we can't, government shuts down, that plays right into his hands. Mm-hmm. But that can't.
Did you see what Chuck Schumer said over the weekend? That fucking, like, he was like being questioned about like whether or not they're in a constitutional crisis, and he's basically moved the goalpost to be like, we're only in a constitutional crisis if the president disobeys an order from the Supreme Court. And like, motherfucker, what if he just ignores every other court? And what if the Supreme Court votes 6-3 that he can do whatever he wants? What then, Chuck? And then he goes, well, then people should take to the streets to save our democracy. Last week you said you were cool with people being deported for fucking protesting. Mm-hmm. And now you're asking other people to go get shot because you're too lazy. Anyway, fuck that motherfucker. So, do you think about, well, is that enough justification for him to vote the Insurrection Act? By sane court standard? No, but he's using the Alien Enemies Act to deport people right now. It's only been used twice in American history. Both were horrific, by the way, but at least we were at war when they was invoked the first two times. You're only supposed to be able to invoke it during times of war. He's saying a handful of Venezuelan teenagers coming across the border is an invasion, and therefore it's an attack. We're under attack. So I don't think... I don't think we can reason our way out of this because it's all fucking nonsense. And just because something's too stupid to happen doesn't mean it can't keep happening because we're there.
Yeah.
And I gotta admit, deploying Delta Force to protect car dealerships is probably a fitting button for American collapse. Have you been following what's going on in Turkey, Trey?
You mean the protests they're having over there? In Istanbul and all that. Yeah, a little bit. I know that it's happening. Also, I saw that super rad picture. You know the picture I'm talking about?
Guy the dervish. The gas mask.
The dervish getting pepper sprayed or whatever, just standing with his arms out. Looks like something out of a fucking cyberpunk video game or something pretty rad.
So people are in the streets because Erdogan's up for election again, and he's doing his normal shit where he's rigging it. Like, he had his main opponent, who's the mayor of Istanbul, arrested on charges of fucking, I don't know, corruption and quote-unquote terrorism. But tell me, think just because something stupid doesn't mean it can't happen. So apparently Turkey has a college degree requirement to be president. All right? And his opponent has a college degree, or used to. What happened was the college he went to decided to revoke his diploma.
Okay. The guy that he's running against had his diploma revoked by the... Right.
Yeah.
Which makes him ineligible to run now. Yeah.
Right, okay. Because they allegedly found some irregularities with his academic transcript from like 40 years ago or whatever, just now. So you see, like, my point is, like, just because something's really fucking stupid doesn't mean it can't happen and be cemented by power, right?
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
So, and they're pretending these more violent than they are, which of course they are. Not that there hasn't been Molotov fire set and stuff, but like, there's been, like, by my count, like, not eight fires in a I haven't counted how many mass shootings have happened since Inauguration Day, but I bet you it's way more than 8. It's a pretty big fucking country is my point. But they're saying, quote, the backlash has turned violent at times, quote, end quote, is the exact kind of framing that's used to discredit the civil rights movement. And nothing has happened to any single human being, who's anti-Tesla.
I was about to say, there's a dude, there was that guy who was like tasing people who are protesting Tesla.
Yeah, we got a video clip of that, and I'm gonna show you in a few minutes.
Cool.
But yeah, there's also, but my point is that like the only violence that's happened has been to people who were protesting Tesla. A guy drove his car into a crowd in Florida too.
Right.
So no human beings. It doesn't matter. They're gonna call it terrorism because a couple cars have been set on fire. And so what we're gonna do now is basically COINTELPRO for ugly fucking trucks. Right. So the FBI is investigating an attack on Tesla as domestic terrorism. This is one headline. The domestic terrorism designation on alleged Tesla attacks could give law enforcement sweeping authority to surveil people protesting against Elon Musk's role in the U.S. federal government, civil liberties experts warn. So basically, what we're looking at going forward is, you know, the CIA, the FBI, when they go undercover and they trick the dumbest guy at a mosque into buying a bomb from them or whatever.
Yes, right. They also were accused of doing that to some whatever you want to, I don't know, J60 or whatever type people too, right? Like that. Yeah, right. It's just kind of what they do.
Yeah. So infiltrate social movements, do snitch jacking and shit like that. But like so basically, because people are throwing cheese at Cybertrucks, somebody's going to get arrested for buying surreptitious American cheese from an FBI agent. I can see it coming now. And I'm only half kidding. Let me quote here. The FBI has created a task force dedicated to investigating Tesla attacks, FBI Director Kash Patel confirmed on Monday. They got a task force going after the cheesers.
This would be a funny, I don't have the resources or budget to do it, but it would be kind of funny to make a sort of like parody or like comical kind of like Black Klansman type thing, but about like the FBI infiltrating the Tesla protest or whatever. You know what I mean? Just like with the cheese and the fucking hipsters, like it being treated with the same gravity as like the Klan was, but it's people protesting, just the inherent absurdity of that. Make good fodder for at least a sketch, but anyway.
Yeah. The DC Metro Police announced yesterday, I think, they're investigating the defacement of Teslas as potential hate crimes. So we're talking about people that...
Against who? How can you... I mean... A hate crime means a certain thing, doesn't it? Like, isn't it a crime based on an immutable characteristic of a person or whatever? It's
yes.
Like,
but it's already legally defined as a protected class. So are they saying Teslas are black, gay, or trans? Because trans is the funniest one to do. So like, but yeah, like they're going to
make them woke, of course. You know,
right. It'd be funny.
They were woke for years.
Yeah,
it's fucking weird.
So like I said, there have been 8 or 9, I think, fire bombings or arsons at Tesla showrooms or charging stations, plus a few others in France, Canada, and Ireland. They've already arrested 3 women separately, facing 5 to 20 years on federal charges for the Molotov cocktails. None of these 3 women don't seem to be connected in any way, as far as I can tell. But the protests are largely peaceful. Here's a video from on Saturday, so you can see what I'm talking about. This is mostly what the protests are.
Elon Musk has got to go! Hey! Oh, Elon Musk has got to go! Hey!
All right.
Yeah. Pretty standard protesty stuff. Make signs, come up with a chant, protest stuff.
Well, we definitely what this protest merits is definitely an FBI SWAT team shooting all these people. All right. Yeah.
Guys elbow to elbow in riot shields and shit, protecting a fucking car dealership.
I watched another video from New York City that showed 9 cops guarding 1 Cybertruck in front of a showroom. If you want to know the state's mood about this shit. So, but I was wondering, they're pretending to protest, but I don't think Tesla's stock and sales are way down because of a few burned cars. I don't think anyone's really scared of being Molotov cocktailed in a Tesla.
No, the two things are related, meaning that like the
people are mad at Elon.
Right. The stocks and sales are down for the same reasons that people are protesting Tesla, but it's not, the stocks and sales are not down because people are protesting Tesla. It's like, that's fucking ridiculous.
But so I'm just curious, like, I mean, I think especially after the Signal Leak group chat thing we're talking about Friday, everybody realizes these people are just fucking stupid. But do they really think this is I honestly think the social stigma that the protests are enforcing has more to do with the drop in like the protesters I'm seeing that I'm following online are saying that people are taking pamphlets they're handing out and being shocked by the shit Elon's up to. They don't know, right? Mm-hmm. So people don't know that he's shuttering Social Security offices and shit, that he's defunded all the cancer research. People just generally don't know. So like, to me, that has more to do with it, but also like Cybertrucks. So like they don't have the best reputations as cars right now. Like I know my buddy with the Model Y, he was trying to figure out a way to sell, but it's underwater right now. Who's liked them, but like Tesla bet it all on the Cybertruck, and their hot new product, the first one they rolled out since 2017, I think, has converted 2% of reservations into sales, and had it had 8 recalls in its first year. Yeah, and they're big.
Yeah, the last one they just like the side just falls off.
Right,
like the whole side of the truck just falls off.
Yeah,
I see a new
because it's glued on.
Right. Yeah, I know. I see a new video of someone like totaling a Cybertruck by trying to like go off-roading over the equivalent of like a pitcher's mound or whatever. And it fucking bottoms out and just explodes. I see a new one of those things like every day on I literally saw one this morning on Reddit, and it's like it doesn't seem to they seem to have the best quality control with the Cybertruck over there.
So I'm not not some big business genius like Elon, but like I don't think your big marketing idea to turn it around should be to claim that organized terror campaigns are going to blow up people who drive your cars. But what do I know? But what they are doing is they're trying to radicalize MAGA people into making Elon's bank account into their personal culture war fight.
Yes, it's like with Trump and him getting out on the White House lawn and stuff. They're like trying to frame it as supporting Elon and supporting Tesla is for true patriots. Makes you a real American or whatever. It's
like, what's the old, the guy that goes America, but he was talking about manufacturing being a core employment dream or whatever. He didn't mean like, but they're trying to make it like as Tesla's stock price goes, so goes America. So get out your guns. And I mean that literally. Here's Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend, who's a reporter /pundit for Newsmax or One America News, one of those fucking Fox, to the right of Fox News clowns.
Terrorizing not only dealerships and taking down an American company, but also drivers as well. And maybe it's time to go full-on Cal Rittenhouse style security.
What?
Security guards in front of a dealership. If I was in charge of a dealership, that's exactly what
Get out your gun and go down Tesla and shoot some protesters like Kyle Rittenhouse did.
That's my introduction to that guy, but I gotta say, it's a perfect match for Marge. Two lunatic peas in a pod. As soon as you said Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend, I was like, I got an idea what this is going to be like, but let's see. And then it was exactly kind of what I thought it was going to be. So
yeah,
at least through that.
So like you pointed out earlier, they have successfully generated some pro-Tesla stochastic terrorists. Like I said, the guy drove into the crowd in South Florida, outside of Miami. He's 44-year-old in West Palm Beach. He got arrested for a felony, which is crazy. I thought Florida legalized running protesters over with your car, but I think the mistake he made was he swerved off the road into the sidewalk. You can legally kill people in the road for protesting, but you can't go on the sidewalk.
Sure, yeah.
The guy's name's Andrew Dutil. I don't know how to say his last name, Dutil. After he tried to run the people over, he parked, got out of his car, Tesla dealership, and said he stands with Tesla, then walked out. He told workers he stands with Tesla. Bro, he's like they were supposed to salute him for his service.
Right. Yeah.
People just work there. They don't own stock. Yeah. They don't give a shit.
People like rolling on the ground behind him that he just mowed down with his car and everything, and he just parks and walks in calmly. It's like, it's been an honor to serve, Mr. Musk or whatever. It's fucking so weird.
Here's the punchline. He was driving a Nissan.
Yeah, he probably can't afford a Tesla.
He just likes the idea of Tesla because Elon runs it.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So
and again, it's just like, as everyone has pointed out, but it's like I guarantee you that same dude, like, irrespective of the Tesla part, like, hates EVs and thinks that climate change is bullshit and electric vehicles are gay and all that stuff, hates everything that Tesla was ostensibly founded, to be for, but he loves Tesla specifically, though, just because Elon is a fucking Nazi and that's his boy or whatever. So it's like everything is, nothing makes sense and everything is crazy.
Yeah. Because you brought it up as a treat, I wanted to show this video of this guy trying to tase an old lady and getting his ass whooped. If you got this video, Matt.
Rick Fuse, I believe is this guy's name.
Yeah, great name.
Yeah. Got a Rick with a short fuse. Am I right? It's the best I could do over here. Just waiting on this video. I'm just trying to kill time until this video starts playing. That's what I'm going to do because I don't want Matt to have to edit anything. Because, you know. And, all right, here we go.
All right. So you got it, Matt. So what you see is there is a guy named Rick Fuse, he's a Trump supporter, tased an old lady who was unfazed by it, then whips his ass and smacks his head into a fucking car.
Pretty awesome. I think that there's a maybe he didn't tase people. There was another one of these guys. I don't think he's the driving one either. But another one of these dudes, it wasn't that guy because he was like a kind of more stereotypical old white MAGA or middle-aged white MAGA looking dude who did some shit at a Tesla protest and got arrested. Because I was reading about him on Reddit, and it was also funny because I read about in that guy he's got a blog where he jerks off Trump in America and all this stuff all the time, and he also talks a lot about his immigrant girlfriend from Germany who also loves Trump and is totally moving over here to marry him soon. All this, and maybe she is real, but it seems very much like he's getting catfished and doesn't know it. He's got like a fake German girlfriend and all this stuff. And it's just always something with these people. But
it's pretty perfect to have a one-way fake girlfriend and also have a one-way fake love affair with Elon. It's very perfect. So yeah, Rick Fuse, that was in Berkeley, by the way. He was arrested for using a stun gun on peaceful protesters. He claimed they were paid protesters. He went down there to show his support for Musk and Doge. Now, the paid protesters thing, it's too stupid for the mainstream media to report, but I've always suspected that what Elon's doing by turning off every bit of government spending that he can't figure out or understand is he thinks it's covert funding to protesters and left-wing organizers. He's trying to unplug the cathedral. We don't have time to get into Curtis Garvin stuff, but the cathedral versus the bazaar, that kind of stuff, like it's fucking insane. So, where is calling that old lady who got stun gunned a terrorist? Where is it going to lead? Here's Donald Trump posting on Truth Social what they're doing to Elon Musk and Tesla. Perhaps they could serve them in the prisons of El Salvador, which have become so recently famous for such lovely conditions. He's going to. Does he mean Americans, do you think?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know Rubio, if maybe it's like, to them, it's like the assumption is that anyone who would do this is like, even if they are an American, they don't count as an American. You know what I mean? If you would do this type because you're just a terrorist thug. But yeah, but it is wild. He's openly talking about sending American citizens to a fucking El Salvadoran prison for protesting a car dealership.
Right.
It's nuts.
More context here. Marco Rubio at some event the other day was asked about this kind of thing, and he said that El Salvador has agreed to accept deportations of American citizens. He did, in his defense, he did say, "We're not sure on the law on that, but Bukele has volunteered to do so." So that's good to know. But anyway, it seems like a broken campaign.
Right, well, why wouldn't we're paying them, right? Why would what reason do they have not to say yes? So, if we're going to pay them to do it and whatever, it's more about just how fucked up it is we're doing that in the first place, and also that is a thing that we'll spend government money on. Right. Shipping American citizens to Central American prisons.
Yeah, buying Americans into slavery. So it seems like a broken campaign promise, by the way, for Trump to offshore crimes against humanity to countries with low-cost labor when we could be doing those jobs at home. All right, and just some context here, we're putting up with a lot more shit, probably because it's happening so fast, but these are the kind of conditions that usually spur a kind of fucking, revolutions in a lot of different countries. For example, let me quote him in the Declarations of Independence. You can think about, shipping Americans overseas to be imprisoned and the tariffs, all right? Probably a couple of the complaints in the Declaration of Independence for why we had to fucking kill or die to get away from King George was, quote, cutting off our trade with all parts of the world and for transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All this, talking about how it's escalating, Pam Bondi isn't just threatening regular old Americans. She also told Jasmine Crockett, the congresswoman from Texas, to, quote, tread very carefully in what she says about Elon Musk. She said that, because Crockett said that Elon needed to be, quote, taken down, meaning metaphorically, but she's going to treat it like a physical threat of violence, right?
Sure.
So, let's talk about the financial trouble Tesla is in, because things aren't going that great for them, whatever. Tesla basically announced that it can't even sell the Cybertruck, even with tax credits and discounts. All right, they're only going to deliver between 7,000 and 8,000 Cybertrucks in Q1 of 2025. For comparison's sake, their projections as of a year ago, in the first quarter of last year, was by now they'd be delivering 125,000 units per quarter of the Cybertruck. So they're delivering 5 to 6% of what they anticipated needing to make, right? Like I said before, it's their first all-new product since 2017. Their only real prospect on the product side right now is a quote-unquote cheaper electric vehicle that they're trying to sell in China. But it turned out just to be a stripped-down version of a Model Y that was just facelifted. And there are offering 0% financing to move those units in China.
Hold on, Mark. I thought they had a grand scheme to introduce robot slaves to the American public too. Is that they're going to pivot? Forget the car thing. That Tesla's now, they're the company for iRobot or whatever. They're going to be shipping out robot butlers to everybody's homes. Robots capable of things like walking and playing music or something like that. Nothing really that impressive, but
it was walking and catching things, I think was what they said.
Catching things. Yeah,
they're making you a dad.
How sweet of them. But it's been an ongoing theme on here with all this talk about Elon and Tesla over the past, months and even years, and the whole time I've been saying, like, how is it still? How is the stock still through the roof? How is it still so successful and all this stuff with all these, just everything about it? But like, at what point can, I don't know, the bottom fall out? Do you know what I mean? Like, there has to be a Rubicon, right, for a business or company. I guess if enough people with enough money want something to not fail, then it won't. But I don't know. It just feels like it should be dire. Shit at Tesla should be dire, like from a business perspective.
Well, so we're getting to it. It sort of seems like it kind of is. Okay, like to Tesla insiders, by that I mean executives board, have sold 1.46 million shares over the last 12 months and bought precisely zero. All right, that includes just in the recent weeks they've sold over $100 million of stock. All right, and like I said, they're pretending just because of the protests, but I want to talk about the national mood here for a second. Why this is happening. Like we talked about the being recalled because the panels fell off, but here's a clip from a what do you call it, town hall meeting by a congressman from Nebraska.
I support Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency.
That's Nebraska.
Yeah.
All right, you can cut that. So there's one point here of like how Elon fucked up if Tesla has anything to do with his plans for the rest of his life. He chose to make himself and Tesla a political figure. Right. I just want to say, I don't know who the CEO of Ford is, because whoever he or she is not trying to take away my...
Yeah, I don't either. I don't even know if it's still a Ford person. All I know about them is that they run the Detroit Lions, and they're finally doing a heck of a job. That's all I know about the Ford family. But yeah, no, we've talked about that before too, but I'll never understand it, because it's like, it wasn't that long ago where Elon Musk was almost universally, if not like admired, at least like thought of positively. He was showing up in Marvel movies. He was the real life Tony Stark. He was doing all this stuff because he wanted to save the world, and people really believed that. And it's like he was a multi-billionaire. Why not just take that and just roll with just that?
I don't know.
Why do you need to sabotage yourself for what? Because you need to be an evil emperor specifically? Like it's got to be Sith Lord shit, or you're not happy? I just don't get it. There was no need for any of this. Like,
yeah. We're all in his hell now, but at least he's kind of in hell too, because like, I saw somebody, I want to talk about this for a second, because the numbers are such that there is a potential point where he could lose a lot. I don't really think he could ever actually be broke, especially with the government backstopping him, but he doesn't have a lot of actual property, which is important to understand. Last time I saw him, I think he bought a house in Austin, but for a long time before that, he was living in rental houses. He didn't care to own a house. And most of his wealth is tied up in Tesla stock, which he's used to leverage, like whenever his other companies need bailouts to get loans, he used Tesla stock to buy Twitter, as collateral to buy Twitter based on other loans, yada, yada, yada. And a bunch of people tried to work through the numbers, and their best guess is when Tesla stock is down about half now. If it goes down half again, it'll be about $110 to $114. And that's the point where he should, if real gravity matters, face a margin call, where he'd be worth $47 billion and owe about $47 billion. Okay, that's when the rest of us need to pop popcorn, because I doubt anybody's going to call on those loans when he's first buddy. But it's still, I don't know, man. We got nothing else to do but root for this to happen to him.
Sure, and I'm with you. It's like, I don't think, it just seems like I can't ever remember a time where something like that happened to someone like this. Like, literally the world's richest man by whatever metric actually going broke and losing it all. So it's just, especially like you said, with the backing of this administration and the American government. So, like, probably not. But what, like you said, it gets, where his debts and his his worth is equal, and he could be margin called. So people call in debts, and then what happens? Like from a practical standpoint, what happens if that point does get reached? Like, what does he have to do? He's forced by who? Like banks, creditors, to liquidate everything he has, or
So like a big bank, whatever bank signed, like a bunch of different banks gave him money to buy Twitter. So it's like, hey man, it looks like on paper this stock you put up as collateral is not worth nearly what it used to be, but you still owe us the money we owed you to pay Twitter, so you got to give us some money. Okay, so you got to prove that you're still able to make these payments. So then he would have to sell Tesla stock, which would drive down the price of Tesla stock further, compounding his problems. But you have to sell more stock, and you have to sell more. That's how the doom loop theoretically would happen.
Cascades,
right? Yeah. But talking about being backed by the government, like, let's talk about the telethon they're doing for poor downtrodden Elon, because they're going full bore. Here's U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick.
Technology. I think if you want to learn something on this show tonight, buy Tesla. It's unbelievable that this guy's stock is this cheap. It'll never be this cheap again. When people understand the things he's building, the robots he's building, the technology he's building, people are going to be dreaming of today and Jesse Waters and thinking, gosh, I should have bought Elon Musk stock. I mean, who would invest in Elon Musk? You got to be.
So Tesla for the last half decade has been a meme stock for sharps, for smart guys, because all the smart guys decided to bid up the stock themselves because nothing was ever going to make it go down, right? Sort of like the real estate market in 2008. So the smart guys are getting out now because they realize that they've it's probably reached the end of its ride. They're trying to get the rubes to buy on a meme stock to cover their fucking losses, right? To inflate Elon's wealth. And that's when the paid protesters thing comes in, because Elon's been at war with short sellers for a decade. Have correctly pegged Tesla as all their value is fake. And the way short selling worked, it's kind of a psyop. What you do is you notice something is overvalued. Then you buy the short position. Then you go out and try to spread word far and wide that the thing's overvalued. You try to drive the stock down. It's a negative spin campaign.
Yeah,
right?
It's like a reverse version of like a pump and dump with a crypto thing or whatever, right? Where it's like, you just, whatever your position is, you try to engender some sort of PR campaign that makes it reflect that. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and then you make money off of it. But I don't know. I can't believe it takes a sharp to realize that their value's all made up or whatever. It's like,
I know,
it's been driving me crazy for fucking months. But the sharps on the pro Tesla side made a bank. They rode the wave as long as they could, and then now they're getting out, right? But the sharps on the short selling side, like they've been, remember the big short when everybody went insane because the short positions they took weren't paying off and they were losing more and more money because reality was it didn't make any sense. Right.
So that's the point where the Tesla short sellers have been there for a while, because it works like opposition research in politics, where it's not the best propaganda is true, right? So like he probably thinks they're an extension of the short sellers. See what I'm saying? Which they kind of are, just not organized.
Right. Yeah.
Alex Jones, talking about this telethon, posted a 7.5 minute Tesla infomercial on Twitter over the weekend. If you went back in time, can you imagine going back and telling Alex Jones he'd be selling electric vehicles, like putting on a suit, standing in front of a Cybertruck?
I know.
The funny part about this is, like, we talked about the infomercial Trump cut on the lawn where he pretended to buy a Tesla for his granddaughter or great granddaughter, forget. So it didn't work. Like, it went out there and it made you got a temporary small bump in value, then continued down. So, like, here's me quote here from this industry expert: "It has done more harm than good because the last thing investors want to see is Tesla become a political symbol. Well, it's too fucking late, but this is why everything they're doing makes it worse. Because everything they do makes it worse. Then Elon continues to make the truck worse, And then they continue to blame everybody else for the stock going down. And we're trapped in this perpetual cycle where none of them understand the fucking problem, which is that Elon Musk exists. A bunch of Tesla fanboys got on Wikipedia and discovered that like Volkswagen and Mercedes were Nazi aligned. And they're like, oh, so you guys are fine with Mercedes. Like, Mercedes is not currently a Nazi company as far as I know. And that's a pretty big distinction here. Yeah. Show this tweet from May Musk if you got it, Matt, because it's pretty funny to me. People are damaging Tesla cars, stores, and charging stations are either paid for their criminal acts or believe the liberal media lies and should be tagged with @I find R words. I'm beyond furious. I find R words is like a libs of TikTok, but for people saying lib stuff like this.
Right.
But she's on her kick. But every time Elon fucks up in public and people make fun of him, she goes with the "he's autistic" line. Like everybody's bullying the richest man in the world for being non-neurotypical. This isn't even like the limits of his fucking financial woes. So SpaceX had another huge failure. If you got this video, Matt, I think I labeled it an image, but it's a video. If you got it, play it in the rundown. And I can't believe he hasn't killed someone yet with this shit.
Wow, that is quite... Hey guys, get back to the cockpit.
It does look cool as fuck, though.
It looks very cool. Very cool. Rockets exploding apparently looks pretty sweet. But I mean, that's not the goal, for it to look cool as it rapidly disassembles upon unscheduled re-entry. But anyway.
I do need to say our two hero astronauts, Sonny and what the other guy's name? I forget the other guy's name. They were brought home finally after a year stuck in space on a SpaceX rocket. So thank God that one didn't blow up. Although Elon says he's going to fly on the next one, the next SpaceX launch, to which I say I'll be watching. Yeah. Do you ever think about why NASA launches from Florida? Because I never thought about it.
No, I guess not.
Because that's what it looks like when a spacecraft fucks up when you launch from Texas.
Yeah,
it flies over the Caribbean. The reason SpaceX is in Tesla is because Texas gave him. The reason SpaceX launches in Texas is because Texas gave him slightly better tax incentives. He's risking the lives and property of everyone who lives in the Caribbean to save a few dollars in tax rebates. Mm-hmm. All right, and. I know we only got a few minutes left. One of the reasons SpaceX is in trouble is Starlink doesn't make that much money, and they're becoming less profitable because a bunch of foreign countries are canceling contracts. Basically, because it's pretty funny. Like we talked a few weeks ago about Italy's prime minister to cut a deal with Elon to do Starlink after he negotiated the release of a terrorist who killed Americans in exchange to go back to Iran. It doesn't matter. But Italy was going to give him a contract, but they've since Parliament has pushed back on it because he's too toxic. I need to point out to you, Elon's toxic in Italy, where their prime minister is basically like if Benito Mussolini was reincarnated and transitioned. All right.
Right. Yeah. They also got an actual Mussolini going over there, don't they?
His granddaughter is active in politics. Yeah.
Yeah. See, this is part of what I did not have a Tesla. Again, there was a point in time where I wanted a Tesla, but this is part of what sucks so much about Elon's bullshit is again, I wanted to be on board with all that. I hate that I'm in a position where I'm laughing at or dunking on the idea of a company like SpaceX in particular. Do you know what I mean? I wanted that to be a good thing. Or it's like we said before, when Trump says we're going to go to Mars, it's my whole life I would have been fucking A, finally. But now that I know that it's in the specific context of Elon's company getting billions of taxpayer dollars to attempt and likely fail to do so, now I'm bummed out by it, and all that just makes me even sadder about the whole thing. It's I look forward to all this shit. And now it's here, and it's all terrible, or it's bad.
Again, it's not what they're doing; it's how they're doing it that's terrible.
Yeah, right. Yes.
What's on Mars? The reason to send a human being to Mars is just to prove that we can do it, right?
Yeah.
To prove that we can do it, because the technological advances that will be necessary to accomplish it will then come back home, and we'll have technological advances that the public owns.
Right.
Whatever Elon accomplishes, Elon owns, even though it's going to be paid for by the U.S. taxpayer, right? That's what's fucking frustrating about it. I would be in favor of it too, if the advancements were going to be public goods, the way a lot of the original NASA advancements were.
Right.
But for context here, after another SpaceX failure, I find it interesting that NASA, in 6 successful missions out of 7, put 12 men on the moon in a glorified tin can with the computational power of a first-generation iPhone and 0 in-flight fatalities, right? 60 years later, private space companies have about a 20% success rate. NASA in the 60s was better at this shit than Elon Musk is in 2025, is my point. And they did it like the real Tony Stark did, in a cave with spare parts. All right? And so I can't decide this discrepancy is purely public interest versus private interests, or the Nazis from the 40s were better than Nazis from the 2020s. I don't know. But those are the choices.
I'm inclined to go with the public versus private thing, just because to me it just feels like, I feel like it wasn't entirely motivated by just, profits and shit like that back then. You know what I mean? It was like a thing that people believed in, and and there was, but now when the shift, everything being privatized and uber capitalism and stuff, it's like the only thing that matters is whatever shareholders and growth and stuff like that. And I just think that some things just don't work under that framework, or at least work as well, and they're never going to learn that lesson apparently. So,
but also NASA had a bunch of redundancies built into it. It was a paramilitary kind of structure, even though it wasn't a military organization. But I know that the promise was it wouldn't be militarized. I know that a lot of technology became yada yada anyway. But my point is the stuff that Doge sees as redundant is why NASA was successful, didn't fail. NASA could not fail. If they killed astronauts in space, America loses the Cold War. That's the end of democracy and capitalism. So they were super careful. Whereas Elon's go fast and break stuff, and he's going to fucking kill a bunch of people.
It's a damn shame, but you are 100% right about all of that. All right, we're out of time. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Again, reminder, go to TreyCrowder.com. Check out my upcoming tour dates. Come and see me on the road. While you're at TreyCrowder.com, click that link that's on there to my new special on YouTube called Trash Daddy. Have some fun with that. Even if you watched it, watch it again. Share it. Tell your friends. Tell your mom and them. It's a good thing. And then also support the show and get more of it in your life by signing up on Patreon, weeklyskews.com/more, or just go on Patreon and search for my name. $5 a month. You get 2 full-length bonus episodes. What's better than more of this show? Nothing. That's what. So do it. Get some more of it. Support the show in the process. Either way, you keep watching on Tuesdays, and we'll keep showing up. We'll see you next time. See you. Bye.